Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of our podcast, Cinemaxxers. I'm Adam alongside Yoni and Joseph. We've been watching movies for a while, close friend group here, and we have plenty of differences in opinions, similarities of opinions. We're going to go all through it here on this podcast, Cinemaxxers. So, we're going to do some personalized introductions first to start it off. I'll start with myself. I'm a huge Christopher Nolan fan. You guys will soon get to know that. Love Star Wars. I think it's the best fiction series ever. I'm sure that's a hot take. We'll talk plenty about that as we go forward. And I'm also a huge Marvel fan. I have a big dislike for Quentin Tarantino. Not a huge fan of him, but we can talk about that later. In general, the one thing you'll get to know about me, I love hot takes. But yeah, we'll talk about that soon. So I'll pass it on to Yoni for his introduction.
What's up, guys? My name is Yoni. I'm a big Denis Villeneuve fan. I love Marvel, love Star Wars, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, all that good stuff. And I guess my favorite thing about movies and the thing that I'm most excited for with this podcast is I love ranking things. So we'll have a fun time. It's a good group we got.
My name is Joseph, and I'm a big fan of like Tarantino, Denis, Scorsese, and um, I'm really interested in like character-focused movies, I would say. But I really like a lot of things. My favorite franchise is Lord of the Rings, though, not Star Wars.
Okay, yeah, you are entitled to your opinion. I'm sure we'll talk about that. But for the first episode here today, we're going to be going over our letterbox top fours and maybe one or two honorable mentions. So around five or six movies for each of us. We'll introduce it, why we like it, why it's in our top four, and then it'll become a discussion type debate after that. Agreements, why you think the movie shouldn't be this high, why it should be higher, something like that. So guys, who do we want to start off first top four?
I can start.
All right, sounds good.
All right, so here's my top four. I'm going to go through all seven of these and I'm going to say my top four right after. But these are seven movies that I could call my favorite movie of all time. The Godfather. I love family dynamics in movies. I love every single character in The Godfather. I love pretty much everything about it. Michael Corleone is probably my favorite character in fiction ever. So The Godfather is definitely one of my favorites. Godfather Part 2, for all the same reasons. I like them probably equal. If I had to pick one, I would probably say The Godfather by a tiny, tiny bit. But I definitely love The Godfather Part 2 just as much. I love the mafia genre, so I also have Goodfellas. I think it's Scorsese's best. Um, I love the stylized version of the mafia, and I love the music and the editing and everything about the movie. Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, they're all great. So I love the mafia genre a lot. On Sundays, I love also I watched after watching this movie, I was just in shock. I seriously thought it was maybe the best movie I've ever seen. It's a great movie. Not going to say too much about it because Adam hasn't seen it, but it's definitely up high on his watch list. I love Spider-Man. I love superheroes, and Spider-Man's my favorite superhero. And I think both Into and Across are both masterpieces, but I think Across understands the character of Spider-Man the best with all the canon events and what makes Spider-Man Spider-Man. I love everything about this movie, the visuals. I love literally everything about this movie. I think it's amazing. Braveheart is a very inspirational movie, I think. I love William Wallace's character and dying for what you believe in and fighting for what you believe in. Not going to say too much about it. Adam hasn't seen it. One of my favorite movies. I think it's a great war movie as well. And then Terminator 2, Judgment Day. I think it just elevates the original Terminator and does everything the original Terminator does at a much higher level. Best sci-fi movie for me, best action movie. Really love everything about this. But my current top four consists of The Godfather, Judgment Day, Braveheart, and Spider-Man. So those are the movies I could call my favorite of all time, and those are my top four right now.
All right, that sounds good. Let's go through them one by one. You can still screen share for a bit, Yoni.
Okay.
Before we go through this top four, would just like to make clear I have only seen two of the four. Joseph, I think it's this. You've seen three of the four, or?
Two of the four. I also haven't seen Braveheart or T2.
Okay. All right. Yoni, your screen just went black. I'm not sure. Joseph, is it black for you as well?
Yeah.
I don't know why.
All right, we'll edit this out.
One sec.
Yeah, take your time.
Are we good now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so just so everyone watching knows, both Joseph and I have not watched Terminator 2 or Braveheart, but we can definitely discuss The Godfather and Across the Spider-Verse. So, Yoni, why don't you go ahead and click on The Godfather? We're going to start there. So, I'll start. So, you mentioned you love everything about this movie, you love every single character. And I can fully admit, as someone that just watched this a few months ago for the first time, I think it's very well made. That's about where my praises stop for this movie. I think the plot's very boring, to be frank. I'll let you respond to that in a second. I just don't think it has that much intrigue. There's not really stakes to it. It doesn't set it up well enough. And I think there's just too much filler in the movie and it drags. I think they could have maybe concised it 20, 30 minutes, especially when they go and he meets the new woman all the way. And I mean, I just think some of the plot lines drag on too long. The overall making of the film is great. But I have it personally at 3 stars and nowhere near a
That's
top
really
five.
hard for me to hear. That's really hard for me to hear.
So I'd
I can
love,
pitch in here
yeah,
as
go for it,
well.
Joseph.
I mean, I have it at a 4.5 out of 5. I think it's a fantastic film. I really don't agree with you when you're saying it's like has a lot of filler. I really can't think of anything. I mean, maybe you could say that the wedding scene
I
at the
can't think
beginning
of
could
much
be cut
filler
by like
either.
5 minutes, but I really think there's almost no filler in the film. I think it's just one of those films where there's so many small kind of nuanced character changes throughout that every scene is important to demonstrate that. Like for me, like even though I don't have it at a 5, that's not because I don't think like I don't have a problem with anyone having it at a 5. It's just because I reserve that tier for like movies that more personally like I felt impacted by. But like it's pretty much a perfectly made film, and the performances, obviously like Vito, Marlon Brando is Vito, and um, Al Pacino as Michael are two of the most iconic and kind of praised performances ever, and for good reason. Especially, I mean, we haven't talked about Godfather 2, but like Michael also continues in Godfather 2 as just an incredible performance from Pacino. So.
Yeah, I would just like to back up what I said. If you were to ask me to go through and tell you what happens, like I would say if you split it into tenths, I probably couldn't do it because the middle of the movie was just so uninteresting to me that
If we
I
split the
probably
movie
couldn't
into
have, sorry.
tenths, if we split the movie into tenths,
I probably would be able to maybe 4 or 5 of those tenths because just so much of this movie was unmemorable for me. Like it's not something that sticks in your mind. When you watch an elite movie, every single part I can remember. I remember maybe half of this movie. I just think it's so unmemorable. But Yoni, go for it. It's in your top four. So
I mean, I think you could pick literally any part of this movie, and it's like one of the most iconic scenes ever.
okay,
I just completely
all right.
completely disagree with that. I
Anything
think
else you want to say
I
before
think
I move on to your next
I
one?
think
Or
I think
Well,
every single part of this movie is extremely iconic and extremely memorable. And
I
it's
want to ask one thing as well.
yeah, go for it.
Adam, because you obviously have it like way lower than probably 99% of people, 95,
You can actually
99%.
go ahead and check right here on Letterboxd what percent of
Yeah.
people have
yeah.
it three
It's
stars or
like, I
above.
mean, the average is what, 4.6? But like basically, I mean, what do you think about the performances in the film? Like, don't you think the performances are exceptional? Like, don't they elevate it past a 3, even if the plot didn't like particularly interest you, which like it's your opinion, but like I feel like performances are more like, I don't know if objective, but like, come on, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I don't think every movie has to have like stakes in the way that there's a big fight or a character like is gonna sacrifice himself or gonna die or like this guy's gonna win or the bad guys are gonna lose.
yeah, no,
It,
I'd love
it's
to answer Joseph's question by
yeah,
saying
yeah.
this is one thing that'll persist throughout this podcast. For me, plot takes course over almost everything, and there's very few cases where it doesn't. So that's a personal thing for me. One of my top four, it's not really the plot that carries it. The other three, it's pretty much completely. We'll go through that later, but for me, it's mainly going to be plot. I want to be interested in the movie. I get the actors can be great and have great performances, but if the plot's not interesting, I'm not going to remember those performances. So that's just a
Okay.
personal opinion of mine.
We have a huge disagreement here, but
We do.
Yeah.
we'll
One
talk
of
more
many,
about
to be
The
honest.
Godfather in later episodes. Let's move on
All right.
to
For the middle two, Joseph and I haven't watched those.
I
So if
guess
you
we don't
just
have
want
to
to give
talk
your
about
Although
reasoning,
I will be watching T2 soon, just to point that out.
okay.
I already gave my reasoning.
Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, we can discuss these more when we eventually watch them. But if you want to
Yeah.
skip straight to.
All right, Across the Spider-Verse, which Adam also has at a 3 star.
Is
And I
it
also
three?
have it at 4.5. So,
I
Okay,
thought you had
that's
it as a
fair. So
4.
oh, I think I do have it as a 4, but it's close.
You said
Yeah,
you're in
it's close
between
to
a 4 or
5.
4.5.
Yeah, it's one of those where like it could go either way. I have the first one at a 4.5,
I
but
guess Adam, I want to ask you what do you dislike about this movie?
So I want to say my favorite part of this movie is the animation style. I think it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
very
I think that's
fair.
the reason it's a 3 star. I just I'm gonna be 100% honest. The way they introduce all the different Spider-Mans and like introduce the concept of a Spider-Verse, I honestly think it ruins the concept of Marvel for me and the concept of a Spider-Man. I don't think there should be a Spider-Verse. It's the concept of a Spider-Verse that ruins the movie to me. I don't think there should
I mean,
be
hold
a
there's
on.
like
Spider-Verse
I
in
mean,
that.
there's a Spider-Verse in the comics that's like
I get that, but
there's
I get they also
there's
introduced
Miles
it.
there's so many
I
Spider-Men
get
in
they
the
also
comics.
Wait,
introduced it in
You
I think it's
you
No
just
Way
don't like
Home or when there's the three come together. I think that's garbage as well. I think there should be one Spider-Man. This is again a personal thing. This is not a critique on the film. It's just a critique on the concept. I don't like multiple Spider-Mans, just as I think Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland should have been kept separately in the MCU. I don't think there should be multiple Spider-Men coming together and mentoring each other. I just don't think that's a great concept. You can subjectively disagree, but that's my critique on the
I
film.
mean, I
do
hear
you
what you're
not like
saying, but
the whole
like
different Joseph go?
the first movie is the one like you're saying that you don't like
Yeah.
that it's there's Spider-Verse in this movie, but the first movie is the one that introduces the Spider-Verse. This movie isn't introducing the
Yeah, no,
Spider-Verse.
I didn't
I gotta
necessarily mean
understand that as a
introduce, but
critique.
I just don't like any really of the Spider-Verses
Okay.
because of the because of that concept. But I'll take back not really introducing, just the concept of a Spider-Verse doesn't appeal to me really at all.
So
Okay.
do you also not like the fact that they're gonna have Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom because
Oh,
he's
I despise it. Yeah.
okay, all right, I get
Wait.
I
it.
think as soon as the MCU went into multiverse, it was ruined after Infinity War. When
I
they
kind
start
of agree
going,
with that, but I think the multiple Spider-Man going into the multiverse, it just elevates it. It
Yeah.
works perfectly
fair
because you
enough.
have
Yeah.
all these characters. You have Miles Morales, you have Gwen Stacy, who's
Yeah.
Spider-Gwen, you have Peter Parker, and they all come in together, and you show what makes Spider-Man Spider-Man in so many different ways. I think works so well. I mean, I guess that's fine that you have
I
that.
mean,
I don't really get it.
I think the
one thing
dialogue's
I would
great and it
ask,
looks good, but again, you can't have performances in an animated film. I'm going to give you a very hot take. I don't think an animated film can be a 5 star. I don't have a
That is
single one.
that's a real
well,
that's a
That's a
real.
flaming hot take, but
I'm obviously going to
I don't
disagree
have a
with that. You
single
guys will see.
animated. I don't have
I
a
have
single animated
multiple
five
animated
star.
films with a 5 star.
I don't have one, so I can stay consistent on that. The highest
Okay.
animated film I have is Mr. Peabody and Sherman because the message is beautiful, and it's also something that hit me personally, very personally, when I was younger. But I just want to say that in general, you will never catch me making an animated film 5 stars.
Okay. Well, one thing I would say quickly is like, so you mentioned that you just don't like the concept, but you can
Mhm.
like, but like at what point, like, I understand what you're saying and that why that movie, like, Across the Spider-Verse might not, or even the first one as well, like, might not resonate with you, but like, how much of that is just preference versus like objective, like not being objective in the sense that like, I don't think that's necessarily an objective critique. And there's nothing wrong with that being a subjective critique. But I'm saying and this could be a broader point, when you're scoring a film a 3 star, is that like, I personally thought for me this was like average, or is it like objectively this is average in your opinion?
Yeah, no, that's actually a great question. My ratings are not how good is a movie, it's how much I enjoyed a movie. That's what I should make clear.
is it a
That's yet
mix
another
though?
reason why this is a
Is it a
flaming hot
mix?
take, but I'm just going to introduce that I despise Arrival. We don't have to get into that, but I can admit it's a well-made film, but I just don't enjoy it. So
So
it's one
it's
of those
not I guess it's
examples.
not a mix at all.
Yeah, no, not at all. My
Okay.
ratings are not how objectively like well made a film is. It's how much I enjoy it. That's how my
I
ratings work.
guess that's
Okay.
fine. Actually, it's a lot better than what I thought you had to say about Across the Spider-Verse because you can acknowledge it's incredibly
I
looking.
mean, do you
Yeah,
understand why
Groundbreaking.
people can love the film, or is
I
it just like I
can.
don't get
If
it
you
at
like
all?
that concept, it just ruins Spider-Man for me. But again,
Okay.
that's all subjective. So
All right. I guess since you guys haven't seen the other two of my top
you want
four,
to go through maybe your top seven if there's other ones that we
I
have
don't
seen.
think there's anything else.
Nothing
I've
else?
seen the other three, but I don't think Adam has
By the way,
seen.
part of the reason I don't have Incendies in my top four is literally Joseph, you have it in your top four right now,
I do
right?
have it in my top four currently, so
Fair.
we'll
Part
go
of
over that.
But any of the seven,
Um,
it's constantly changing. So
yeah. I
It's
mean, if
okay.
we're just talking about that, should we segue into my top four?
Yeah, let's
Because
go for it. All you,
Sundays is
Joseph.
one of them. Okay, so this is my top four. Fantastic Mr. Fox from Wes Anderson, Tarantino's Inglourious Basterds, Villeneuve's Ensemble, and Bong Joon-ho's Parasite. I'll go through why I like them in a second. Just some honorable mentions, which I won't get too deep into. All of the Lord of the Rings films for me, to me, it's the perfect trilogy. All three are 10 out of 10s. I would say Apocalypse Now is an incredible film. The Dark Knight, and I would also say Inside Llewyn Davis for something more kind of introspective. In terms of my top four, why each of them is in my top four without kind of spoiling if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, just to make it clear, I'm pretty sure
Fantastic.
we've all seen three of the four,
Yeah.
I've
and I'm
seen
the only
every
one.
movie.
Yeah,
I've
you
seen
guys
every
have
Yoni
seen.
has seen
named
all of
plus
them.
honorable
Adam
mention.
has seen all of them except on Sunday. Um, so Fantastic Mr. Fox. Um, this is my favorite film of all time, and I think the reason for this is just because part of it is almost like a feeling I can't describe. Like there's something about watching this film that just like I don't want to sound corny, but like it's just like I have like this feeling when I watch it, just like that fills me with joy that like no other film does for me. And again, that's a very personal like feeling. So it's not necessarily, I also do think it's like an incredibly well-made film. I think it's one of the most beautifully shot films ever. And even though it's an animated film, it's stop motion. So it's like miniature sets. And I think also just one other note, like obviously the messages are great. And I think George Clooney probably gives my favorite voice acting performance of all time as Mr. Fox in this film. Um, yeah, so that's Fantastic Mr. Fox. So for Inglorious Bastards, um, this to me is like the most kind of all-encompassing film of all time for me, just because it crosses so many genres. It's deeply disturbing in the way that it shows like the way the Nazis exploited individuals for gains in the Holocaust, but it's also there's moments where it's very funny. It's super like it's like kind of quintessential Tarantino with like the Tarantino violence. I think has probably the best dialogue of any film, and just the way Tarantino uses tension is incredible for me. And also I should mention that Christoph Waltz as Hans Landa is in the conversation for my favorite performance of all time. And then to get to Ensemble, I won't touch on it for long just because Adam hasn't seen it, but this film is genuinely, it's hard to put into words. I think, like Yoni said, it's just shock. Like when you watch this, it's just incredibly moving and well made. And, you know, that's all I'm going to say for now. But I think everyone, regardless of it is in French, you have to watch the subtitles, should watch this film. I think it's that good. Even if you're not a fan of subtitled films, please watch it. And then also, my fourth one is another film that's not in English, which is Parasite. I feel like there isn't that much to say about Parasite that hasn't been said. I mean, it won Best Picture for a reason. It's again kind of like Inglourious Basterds. It covers so many genres, from horror to thriller to kind of family drama and like crime slash like heist almost in a sense with the way they move up in the family. Um, and I think the performances across the board are incredible. I think there's so much foreshadowing in the film, which you notice on rewatches, which is just brilliant. And I think it's like thematically, I found it very powerful as well. All right, so should we start with Fantastic Mr. Fox? Your thoughts on the film as well?
Yeah, let's go for it. All right. I guess I'll start with my opinion. I'm not 100% sure what I have it rated. I'm pretty sure it's a 4 star for me. I think I watched it for the first time with Joseph. And I loved the way it was shot. For me, the animation prevented it from being a 4.5 or above. I know it made our rating system clear, but for me, out of around the 350 or so movies, only 30 of those are 4.5 or above. So that's like my elite tier. And Fantastic Mr. Fox was very close. For me, it was the way the film, I don't just love like the choppiness of the movements. And again, it's like a nitpick. For me, it's so hard when a movie doesn't have performances. The plot has to be so good to get it over for something like I think I have two 4.5 or aboves that are animated. It's just so tough to bridge that gap, and I didn't like the plot enough. But again, I have it at I think probably a 4.25, a 4 star with a like for me. It was a good film. It just didn't, I guess, touch me on a personal level like it did with you, Joseph.
I'm
Yeah.
wondering, before Yoni gives his opinion, let me just say one thing. when you say performance, you're talking about like a physical actor. Because like I said, I think the performances, as in voice performances, are like perfect for me across the board in this film, especially George Clooney. So
Yeah, when I watch animated movies, I don't really think of the voice performance. That might be a crazy take, but it just doesn't really cross my mind that much. I don't think of a human behind it. But yeah. Yoni?
Yeah, I actually have it a bit, I guess, rated a bit lower than Adam. I have it as a 3.5, but for me, a 3.5 is very good. So I definitely think this is a very good movie. I definitely understand the appeal of it and why people love it so much. Um, I guess for me, though, it just didn't hit emotionally as hard as it did for Joseph, but I'll give it a rewatch. I'm not hating on it at all. I think it's very good. It just didn't 100% stick with me. Um, yeah, I think it's very good.
Yep. Joseph, anything else you want to finalize before we move on to the next about it?
no, I think I've covered my thoughts on it. Like, I mean, obviously, there's so much more you can get into depth with all of these films, but like we can always into that on a later date. But as a starter, I think that's good. Now to Inglorious Bastards. So again, probably my second favorite film of all time, I would say.
Yeah, I have it as a 5 star also. We shared the exact same opinions on it. I love it. I think the opening part, which I don't think you talked about, but doesn't really need to be said. I think the opening 20 minutes is maybe one of the best 20 minutes in any film ever. The way it builds tension and the way that it all leads up to the last final moments. I think everything about it is great. I love Inglourious Basterds. It's a 5 star for me, masterpiece.
Yeah, I also watched this for the first time with Joseph this past year. I have it 4.5 stars. I'll talk about what's preventing it from five, but first the good, because to be a 4.5, it has to be elite for me. And I thought it was truly elite. I'm a big Tarantino. I'm not a fan of his, I'll admit. I haven't watched too many of his movies, but I thought his style went very well, and it came across very well in this movie. And when I first watched that opening scene, it felt like 5 minutes. I didn't realize until after the fact it was 20 plus minutes. That opening scene is one of my favorite scenes ever. Like straight up, it might be the greatest opening scene ever. It competes with The Dark Knight. It is that good. And
The
then throughout the
opening,
middle of the movie, it never slows down. Again, you guys know I love plot. It never slows down. Always something new is happening. There's comedy mixed in. Um, so yeah, I thought unbelievable movie. The only thing keeping it from a 5 star for me is that movie theater blowing up scene. I just thought it kind of treated again, this is like it's an interesting take, but it kind of treats Hitler like a fool when he was like and the rest of his crew when they were smart enough to kill millions of people of all ethnic groups. It just kind of like there's no way they would allow a security lapse to like that to happen. But again, that's part of Tarantino's style, and it's still an elite film for me, one of the very few I have up there.
I guess Joseph, I still have it as a 5 star, but I think a critique that I would have, I would like the bastards to be a bit more involved.
Hmm.
Maybe it's
I
because
get that.
the film is marketed as Inglorious Bastards, and I kind of went into it knowing that Brad Pitt was one of the main characters, and he's in it for a good amount. He has a good amount of screen time, but I think the bastards are maybe my favorite part of the movie, on top of Christoph Waltz. So I guess maybe I would want a little bit more of the bastards, which I don't think anyone would disagree with.
Yeah. I think for me, like the only thing I would say to that is either you would have to extend the film's runtime to make it maybe like a 3 hour film or longer,
Yeah.
or you'd have to cut stuff from the bar scene to make room, which
I
for
don't think
me, I
anything should
wouldn't.
be
I
cut
was
though.
just going to bring up the bar scene. It's the one thing we haven't touched on. I think the bar scene and the first scene you could argue are both in debate for one of the greatest scenes ever.
I agree.
I would want nothing cut from that. Every
Yeah.
bit of tension, even the beginning, nothing cut from it. And obviously, everyone knows
Yeah.
the
And
three
I
finger
honestly
reveal.
wouldn't have a problem with this being a 3 hour movie. I mean, if it's all excellent, I don't have a problem with it.
See
Godfather,
that's
three
a
hours.
big difference. The casual audience hates 3 hour movies. People heard that the Odyssey's 2 hours and 52 minutes, and they're like, I don't know if I want to watch it anymore. Again, I think all of us would be completely fine with almost any movie being 3 hours. Again, that's an overstatement, but
Not The Godfather though, right?
in general, most movies we'd be fine with being very long. So yeah, I'd agree. You get a few more bastard scenes in there, and you don't make the end as Tarantino as it is, and I have it at 5 stars.
Adam Sandler is the Bear Jew.
That
That
was
would have been
that would have been crazy. I mean, I personally would have loved to see that, like in terms of I thought it would be interesting or like different. It's kind of hard to conceptualize. I thought
Yeah,
Eli
not
Roth
for
did a really
me.
good job, but I
Not for
don't
me
know.
at all. I don't see it. I
Yeah,
think it would have
I,
made
I would have
the
no
movie a bit
problem.
unserious,
I
but
would have
I don't
no
know. I think it
problem.
could have been
I
cool.
have no problem with how it is right
Yeah.
now.
No, I have
yeah.
no problem with it. I just also think, and you never know. It's like an alternate universe. One thing I will last say is like, I know Adam, you said like the ending is a little bit too Tarantino for you, and I know you've said like, so we'll get into more your opinions on Tarantino in later episodes, but like, I feel like Tarantino is one of those directors that like you can't really like, I don't want to say you can't dial him down, but like that ending is just so quintessential to like the way he does things. I feel like that. I guess if it's not for you, it's not for you. But to me, it was like a perfect ending, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, there's just a 0% chance that Adolf Hitler and his men would let someone with a gun into their booth. That's never happening. But again, it's a movie, so that's how it is. But yeah.
Yeah.
No, amazing movie in my elites here. Fully, I'm with you on that.
Okay. So now Incendie from Denis Villeneuve. We won't talk about it for a while. I guess me and Yoni can give our opinions without spoiling, just like briefly. I just think it's, like I said, it's incredibly moving. I think there's kind of like different plot lines going on, but I think the way they do it is they do it so well. And I also think I mean, we'll have to get into rankings, but like you'd be hard pressed to find a better Denis Villeneuve film for me, even though he has so many masterpieces. But
The culmination of everything coming together in that last like whatever it is, 25, 20 minutes, so many pieces just all coming together and making sense is it's just so great.
yeah, again, everyone should watch this film. I think Adam will watch it relatively soon.
It's my next
Um,
watch.
and then we can talk about it as well. But yeah.
Yep.
Okay, then we're gonna move to Parasite, which again I talked about a little bit briefly, but you guys can give your opinions as well.
Yeah, I'll start for this one. This is our only crossover between the three of us, and I might switch before I go, but Parasite's in my top four, and I can never see it leaving. Um, I mean, I have a movie that I'm about to see that's already in my top four. Uh, but then no, besides that joke, I Parasite is a top three, top five movie, pretty much guaranteed. Again, another one I watched recently, and the feeling that I had after that movie was like so unbelievably like I had no critiques from beginning to the end. The symbolism, the way it was shot, the performances. And I would like to say I almost refused to watch this because I don't like subtitled films, and I'm very glad I did because it was so unbelievably shot. The way you mentioned it, Joseph, the family works up the chain, the dynamics between rich and poor, the shifting of the dynamic with the plot twist. And if anyone hasn't watched, I guess you could pause now. But the plot twist where they end up stumbling down the stairs and then the dynamic reverses and then just chaos. The family gets home early. I mean, I don't have enough good things to say about it. It's also in my top four, and it's definitely a top five movie ever for me.
Yeah, I have Parasite as a 5 star also. Love it. My personal favorite scene is probably the peach scene, the peach sequence,
Yeah.
where what is it? She keeps rubbing peaches all over the house and the housekeeper, the housemaid is allergic to them and she gets ill after. It's great. I love
Yeah.
Parasite. It's a 5 star for me.
I will also say, I mean, again, if you or haven't seen the film, then skip past this part, but like the birthday cake scene with
No,
the stair, I just
I
remember
that
Adam
still
was
gives
like
me PTSD.
petrified at
It gives
that.
me, yeah,
I
it
mean,
gives me PTSD.
that is genuinely an incredible shot, and it's just like I mean, it's like a scene from a horror movie, but also in a
Oh, it
movie
is.
that's like an incredible thriller, an incredible family drama, an incredible film that has commentary on social class and like the nature of capitalism, like a lot of these things. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, Joseph, you were with me when we watched that scene. Um, I I watched it a second time with a big group, and I looked away during that scene. I'll never watch it again. It genuinely petrified me. I've watched some horror movies before. That's the scariest scene I've ever watched. It's unbelievably shot.
Yeah. All right,
All
Adam, you
right.
top four?
Yeah, Joseph, do you want to touch on any honorable mentions? Because I know we skipped by Onsandi fast. Or do you have one you want to bring up?
Yeah, I'll just like briefly touch on like let me go down. I mean, you won't see them, but like I can talk about a couple of them pretty quickly. I mean, Lord of the Rings, best trilogy of all time for me, some of the best films of all time. I think all three are perfect. I think all three pretty much across every facet. Like you can look at the set design, you can look at the score, you can look at the performances, you can look at the world building, the action, like all facets. Pretty much perfect films. Maybe there were one or two things you can nitpick, but I just love the world and I love the characters and the story. I think as well, I gotta mention Apocalypse Now because that's frequently been in my top four. Like that's one of the movies as well with Onsandi where like after I watched it, I was the most just like completely shocked that like a movie could be made like that almost, if that makes sense. Like that a movie like that existed because it just blew me away, even though, I wasn't necessarily expecting it to because like kind of straightforward war movies, it's not straightforward, but aren't usually my favorite type of film, but it was incredibly moving and incredibly damning about war, I would say.
Yep.
All right. Do you want to go to Adam's top four?
All right, we'll move to mine now. All right. So this is my top four. Again, we already talked about Parasite. So I'll mention another one later, but I'll just go through them and why I like them. So we're gonna start with Interstellar. This is objectively, subjectively, whatever you want to say, the greatest movie ever. And I think there's such a huge gap between Interstellar and everything else for me. I'll touch on why because I have about 1,000 reasons. I'll give a few of them. Apologies for the ads. I'm not a patron member yet. Um, so for me, Interstellar has the greatest scene of all time. And that's simply Cooper watching the video messages. In my opinion, it's just simply unbelievable. For me, it's also the greatest cinematography of all time. The shots of the docking scene. We don't really have to get into really many spoilers with this. We'll give a warning if we
I
do.
think
But
everyone's probably seen it, but I
yeah,
can
Yeah.
the,
be
the
honest.
docking scene was just so beautifully shot. And then obviously just you can see on the poster the shots of the ship going through space, the dynamics at the beginning of Cooper leaving it, coming into a full circle moment when he's in the five dimension world, screaming, "Please don't leave me." You could also argue that is the greatest scene ever. And just like the fact that someone can come up with that story, I just think Christopher Nolan is a genius. This is kind of when it solidified that he, for me, is the greatest director ever. We'll discuss it because I know you guys like it, but there's some differing opinions. But for me, it's by far the greatest movie ever. And as long as we have this podcast, it probably won't change. So yeah, Interstellar for me is the greatest movie ever. We already touched on Parasite, so we'll skip over that one. We'll move to The Revenant, which I just watched recently. You can see my comment right there. It is the second most visually stunning movie I've ever watched behind Interstellar. Um, I'm sure most people know this fact, but they only shot every single scene other than one. They literally waited until it was golden hour or right before sunset just so the film would look brilliant. And it cost them many days of filming, but they did it so the film would look amazing. I might pronounce this wrong, but Alejandro Inarritu, probably pronounced wrong, but
That was good. That's good.
unbelievable with his vision for this film. I think this is Leo's best performance by a mile, and it deserves the Oscar for it. I just think it's so beautiful. The plot's obviously great. I mentioned earlier there's one of my movies where it's not the plot that really carries it. That would be this one. For me, it's the visual and the performance. But just simply unbelievable. Joseph, I watched this one with you, so you just knew my reaction after it. I was just like kind of lost. It was that good for me. And then finally, I'm going to go Schindler's List. My comment right there, I might have to take back what I said earlier about Interstellar. The finals, I know I'm contradicting myself a lot. I get passionate about movies that I talk about. The final scene of Schindler's List is my favorite scene of all time. Um, it it's one of the few scenes I've ever cried at, and I was pretty much sobbing. Again, this is kind of a spoiler. It's not really because it's a historical, but feel free to skip over this. Just all of the survivors coming back with their actors in the movie was so powerful for me. Ray Fiennes was just unbelievable as the villain in this film, just truly superb. And then obviously Liam Neeson as Oscar Schindler. The plot was amazing. Um, I have no critiques for this film. It was brilliant. The fact that it was in black and white and the only color was the red coat, and you obviously saw that getting wheeled away. Just it's unbelievable. We can discuss it as well. And then I guess for a fourth, I guess I'm going to bring up The Dark Knight. I don't have The Dark Knight in here because I don't want two Christopher Nolan movies up here. But for me, it has the greatest performance ever. Heath Ledger is the Joker. We don't have to talk about that one as much because it's not in my official top four, but I would say that would be my fifth if we don't include Parasite. So we'll start with Interstellar. You two go ahead and give your opinions.
I'll go first on this one. So I love Interstellar. I have it at 5 stars. I think it's an incredible film. And I agree, like in a vacuum, with a lot of the stuff you're saying about like maybe not with the best, but like a lot of the cinematography being incredible and having some incredibly moving scenes, stuff like that. I obviously don't agree that it's like objectively the best film of all time. Like it's probably around for me like 10th maybe for in on my personal list. Again, personal list is different than all time.
Yeah.
Like objectively. So I don't agree with like the way you're phrasing it with objectively, but it's your opinion. Um, I think we can talk about this. I have a couple problems with the film, which it's still a 5 star because the highs are so high, but it prevents it from being like in top four consideration for me. Just briefly, I think my biggest issue is the way they handle. I think the Miller's Planet scene in itself is one of the easily in the conversation for the best scene or best kind of mini plot line in the film. But like the way the scientists thought of it just doesn't make sense when you think about that they're supposed to be the smartest people in the world and that they didn't think about the idea that Miller has only been there for like 45 minutes. And then the ending drags a little bit for me, but other than that, I think it's incredible.
All
Yeah.
right. Yeah. We'll go to Yoni. I know you have the biggest discrepancy between
It's
us.
not a huge discrepancy. I have it as a 4 star. I'm probably in between I'm probably at a solid 4 star. I agree with the kind of critiques that Joseph had. I think the end drags a little bit. And I've never thought of that, the scientists not considering the time difference on Miller's Planet comment, but I definitely agree with that. But the main problem I have with it is I personally don't like how big of a role Murph has on Earth. I think it's just a little strange how she's like the fate of the world on Earth when there are so many other people, and I don't really understand why she's so important and crucial on Earth. You can explain it to me because I also that's what I think.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to get too deep into it because again, this is the first episode. I'll say I have zero issues with the film. If there was one critique that ever actually made me think and I couldn't immediately respond to, it was the one that Joseph gave. The fact that they didn't think about that. I would say you have to take into account that they just traveled through a wormhole where they saw themselves in a 5D dimension and they didn't even know it yet. There so much going on, so many decisions to make. Little things like that can easily slip your mind, but I do agree that is maybe the one critique that you could have on an otherwise perfect film. As for what you said, Yoni, I would just personally say that there was only a few people in the world that really could handle this type of thing. They wanted to keep it as secret as possible. If you extend it internationally to other nations, then I just think it could things could get out and people would revolt. I think they wanted to keep it as private as possible. I guess I see where you're coming from. I don't see that as an issue really at all. But yeah. So that was Interstellar. All right, let's go to The Revenant because this one's really personal. This is I just I absolutely loved it off first watch. I watched it a second time with my family. Loved it the same amount. So go for it.
I have it as a
I guess like, or you
3.5.
start. Yeah, you start.
I have it as a 3.5. 3.5 for me is a very good movie, so it's a very good movie for me. I don't think it's one of Leo's best performances. It's probably I have a Leo list, but I think it's in my top th three for him. So
I think
it's
it's
a
a
great,
two for you.
it's a two great Leo performance. I guess for me, the film looks outstanding. I have no complaints with how the film looks. I just think a film can look great in a lot of different ways. And I think that there are a lot of like I don't think that this movie is like better looking than like every movie ever. I don't know if you said that, but that's kind of what I was getting from your review.
Besides Interstellar, yeah, I have it at the number two
Yeah,
best.
I think that there are a lot of movies that can look amazing. Like I think Across the Spider-Verse can look amazing. I think Goodfellas can look amazing. I think The Revenant can look amazing. A lot of different things. Project Hail Mary recently. So it doesn't have like extra points for me for that. It's an amazing looking film, but it doesn't have extra points for that for me to carry it over I guess you could call it the lack of plot. I think there's not enough plot for me. I definitely prefer character-driven movies and character-based movies. It's a very good movie for me, but I don't think there's a strong enough plot for it to be any higher than a very good slash great movie for me.
So I would just ask the question, when you say you would prefer character-driven movies, you mean like, because if you're talking character development, I mean, he goes through so much character development. So, and obviously you have, I mean, you have Tom Hardy, and he gives maybe an even better performance than Leo. So that's another. I'm curious what you mean by
Yeah,
you
but I
prefer
think that
character movies.
I think that there's a lack of A, motivation for Leo's character, and B, kind of human to human interaction because a lot of the movie's silent, which I don't necessarily have a problem with, but I prefer character to character dialogue and
Wait, sorry, I just have to interrupt you there. I get possibly a lack of plot, but a lack of motivation. The whole movie, it's a movie about motivation and revenge. It's an entire movie about the only reason he survived was to get back and get his revenge because he watched his adopted son die in front of him. Apologies if that was a spoiler. We can pop something up on the screen before that. I'm sorry, but that's kind of the whole point of the film is motivation and revenge. So I'm kind of curious of that.
I guess it wasn't that interesting of a motive for me.
Okay.
I think that there are movies that do revenge a lot better.
All right, that's fair.
I just think there
All
wasn't really
right.
enough of a plot for me
Okay.
personally. It's a very good
Yeah.
movie, but I don't know.
Um, I think it's a fantastic film. I have it at a 4.5. Um, I think I agree with a lot of the things Adam is saying about the cinematography being incredible. It's a very beautiful film in the way like it's shot. I think Leo is obviously incredible. I think he deserved the Oscar, even though I actually probably have it like his fifth best performance. But I think that's more of just me like thinking Leo is one of the all-time great actors and he has better performances. Um, I think Adam touched on this a little bit, but like I think Tom Hardy gives a better performance in the film, and that's
Fair
again not a
take.
diss on Leo. I just think Tom Hardy is incredible. Um, I agree with some of the things Yoni is saying as well, which is why it's not a five. I think the movie could probably cut 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I think it's just like drags a bit,
Which
especially in the
parts
middle
would
of
you
the
say?
film. Like the middle hour and a half, middle hour and a half, I would
So
say.
after he's attacked and
Yeah. Because
he's
that
finding his
happens
way
like
back.
relatively early on, like 25
Yeah,
minutes
yeah,
in,
no, we talked about
25,
this.
30.
Yeah, so you're saying when he's trying to find his way back, like
Yeah.
okay.
I also, one other thing, this isn't necessarily like a critique of the film. It's just more like why I kind of disagree with like people saying it's Leo's best performance. Like, I don't have a huge problem if you say it, but like a lot of people point to the fact that like, oh, like he did a lot of the practical stunts. He like actually ate like bison liver, I believe, for that one
Yeah, he
scene.
did. Yep.
To be honest, like it makes the scene look better, like that they use actual bison liver, but like I kind of don't care that much, like honestly, in terms of his performance, like how it affects it. I think it's a great performance. I just don't think it's like top three for me, but it's
I think
still
Interesting.
I,
fantastic
Yeah. No,
performance.
no, touching on that, I actually am with you in the sense that stunts being practical don't really matter, which is another reason why I don't care. I don't think
Well,
it's
I didn't say that, but
okay. Yeah,
within
no,
the
I
context of
agree.
his performance
He
in the
didn't have
film.
to eat the bison liver. I agree. I think they could have done that. Like, it's great. It added to it, but I don't. I think I'm a fan if CGI looks good and if you can edit things in, I don't mind if it's edited in. So I can see that because that is one of the main appeals for it being his best performance ever.
I think what makes Leo so great is how charismatic he can be. And I guess you don't really get that in here compared to like a Wolf of Wall Street or like, I don't know if either of you have seen it, but What's Eating Gilbert Grapes?
I haven't seen it, no.
I haven't seen it yet, but I will watch it hopefully soon. One
Okay.
other like last thing I would say just quickly
Yeah.
is like um obviously it's based on true like when I say true story, Hugh Glass was a real person, but like
It's not fully accurate.
yeah, it's not close to accurate, which like it's fine. I'm fine with that. It's just kind of like a little bit of a puzzling choice in my opinion to like it's based kind of on a real person, the bear attack, but like everything else is like fictional for the most part.
To
So
me,
like
that doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
with you.
like
I
it
don't know if
doesn't
you
matter
guys
that
know,
much. It's
but
just like an interesting choice for me.
I
I
don't
don't
know if you
know.
guys know, but Braveheart is like
Yeah.
Similar.
it's not historically accurate in the slightest, and that's And that's a lot of people's complaints with it, but I don't think it matters too much for me. But I kind of understand that odd choice. I don't think Braveheart, though, which is kind of similar to The Revenant, I don't think it's an odd choice of storytelling.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. All right. Let's move on
Schindler's
to.
List? Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I'm just saying we're moving on to Schindler's List.
Yeah. Let's move on to Schindler's List. This one I just watched a month or two ago. About a month. No, about a month ago, maybe less. So yeah, just go for
Yeah,
it.
I mean, I agree 100% with everything that Adam says. It's very rare to hear that from me. Um, no, it's one of the most powerful movies of all time. It's not afraid to tackle an extremely important and depressing part of history, and I think he does a fantastic job in every way. I think Joseph probably
Um, hmm?
agrees. I think you probably share a very similar opinion.
I share like relatively similar opinion. I have it at 4.5, and obviously I have no problem with anyone having it at 5. Um, I think it's a masterpiece. I think it's an incredible film. I would say like it's like all of the pros you guys said, I completely agree with. I think I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about actors more focused like in other episodes, but like
Yeah.
Ray Fiennes, you mentioned Ray Fiennes. He's absolutely one of my favorite actors of all time, and Schindler's List is absolutely in the conversation for his best performance. Most people would probably have it as best. Um, and I think pretty much everyone else in the film is also great. I think Liam Neeson is pretty good, like is really good. There are a couple of times where I feel like I don't know exactly if I agree with some of the acting choices, but like I would say overall, I think he does a really, really good job. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
I would say I come away from this movie thinking about two main things: the final scene and Ray Fiennes. I don't think Liam Neeson is the star, but he didn't have to be the star. So I'm
Yeah.
with you in the sense that he's not the reason this is in my top four.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
All right. So we'll just go over one more because I know we skipped over Parasite. Let's just go over The Dark Knight because it probably would be in my top four. I don't know which one it would replace, but it probably would be. I just don't want to have multiple Nolan. Um, for me, The Dark Knight has probably the best opening scene ever. Again, maybe tied with Inglourious Bastards. And the main thing that I really wanted to touch on and bring up with here is it has the greatest performance ever for me with Heath Ledger. Um, obviously, tragedy that he happened to die before it came out. Never got to officially watch it in theaters, but I just think I've never once watched somebody and didn't even think it was a human. Again, the paint kind of helps, but it's like it's just so he is the Joker for me. Every time I watch another film with the Joker, I just can't really think of anybody else. So, but yeah, no, I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on it.
I'll start, I guess. I completely agree with the vast majority of things you said about The Dark Knight. I think it's an unbelievable. I have it at 5 stars. It's probably like the first off. Like if I was to give a couple more honorable mentions for my top four, it's probably like the first thing else I would have said. It's definitely my top 10. I completely agree that Heath Ledger is unbelievable. One of my favorite performances of all time. Not my like actual favorite, but like I have no problem with someone saying it's their personal favorite. I don't know about objective best. I think that's like very,
I
it's
don't think
hard to
there's a
like say
lot of
what's
objective
objectively the
best.
best, but like um I also think the opening seems great as well. I also think Aaron Eckhart as Two-Face is also amazing in this movie. To give a shout out to him because I think his performance sometimes goes under the radar as well, I would say.
Yeah. I agree. I love The Dark Knight. Definitely one of my favorite superhero movies, and it's definitely in my top 100. I have it as a 4.5, so not too far off. I guess the only small critique I have, I think that boat scene, I remember watching for the first time, and I think the boat scene, I thought it was outstanding, outstanding. Probably my favorite scene of the movie, but the more I think about it, it's pretty unrealistic. I think one of those boats would explode pretty fast. And the Dark Knight seems like such a grounded movie and such a realistic take on Batman and a realistic take on Gotham and the superhero genre in general. But I do think that one scene where you have all the criminals on one boat and you have all the innocent civilians on one boat, I just see no world where neither of the where I see no world where one of those boats don't explode very fast. Whether it's the criminals blowing it up or the innocent
Yeah,
civilians blowing up the rapists and criminals on the other boat.
yeah.
Other than that, It's outstanding. I think also a lot of people have a problem with Christian Bale as Batman, which I don't really understand. I think he's a very good Batman. People say that Heath Ledger carries the movie too much, but that doesn't make any sense. Just
Yeah.
because Heath Ledger overshadows Batman in a Batman movie doesn't necessarily mean that that's a bad thing. I mean, the Joker's one of the most iconic villains of all time, so there should be no problem with that. But I love it. That's the only critique I have about it, which I don't
Yeah.
think you totally disagree with.
Yeah, no, I agree. I honestly, I was thinking of a response to that. And I originally, my first thought was there's no way the civilians don't explode the criminals because they're probably thinking they don't deserve
Yeah,
to be there.
it's a little
But then
unrealistic.
I think of it the other way. I'm like, there's no way some criminal isn't going to
Just
instantly do that.
you got to just get past it.
Yeah, but like we can
No,
just say it's a sick scene. Like
it's a
you can
great.
just enjoy a scene.
I
Yeah,
remember watching very, very well when I was like 12 or something. And I'm just blown away.
I
yeah,
mean, I also think like thematically, I see what Yoni's saying, and I think like I would say the one caveat I would give is like it's hard for us like sitting here like on this podcast to like conceptualize what it would be like to be in that situation.
yeah.
So I
To have
personally
to
don't
be
have a problem
responsible.
with it
Yeah,
within that because like it's just such a like extreme situation that like it's really hard to like picture yourself in. You don't know what you would do. But I see where he's coming
I
from.
I probably know what I would do there.
what?
I would probably blow up the other boat of the
You
criminals.
would. You
I
would
don't
blow
think
up another boat.
I don't think that's crazy to
Would you have
say.
taken the thing? Because there's the guy who like is thinking about doing it and then he like hands it back.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I don't think that's that crazy to say that I would blow up the
No, I
criminal.
don't think it's that crazy, but like
And
I'm just like
Interesting.
curious. Like I might do the same thing, especially I mean, I definitely would if like my family was in it. Like I'm not gonna like see my family die. If it was just me, I feel like it's harder because like you're also it's tough because obviously there's like the criminals who are like have done horrible things like, obviously like rapists or murderers or whatever, but there's also probably criminals who are there for like a drug charge and like they're not bad people. Same with like
yeah,
people who
but
maybe
there are
stole to
also
feed
like
for their family. I don't
there
know.
also
It's
might have
hard.
been like criminals from Arkham Asylum.
That is true.
And
Like
I,
it is Gotham, so like
it's
Yeah.
you never know,
Gotham, so
but
I'd assume there's a
I don't
decent
know.
amount of Arkham Asylum mates in there, and I don't
Yeah.
Yeah.
know.
The last thing we didn't really touch on in this movie that I had a debate with some other people from USC, Joseph and I both there. I was just gonna say I think the ending makes it so great and tops it off as a top four for me. But he and I've actually heard this critique a lot, think that Batman at the end didn't have to like run away in the sense that like the last like part is him motorcycling off. I just want to, are you guys in agreement that the ending was like great, or would you make any changes?
I think the ending's great. Like I don't have a problem with
Yeah,
the ending. I mean, I don't really exactly see where they're coming from with that because I feel like the whole point of the ending is like
he
Batman
doesn't want to
is
take
needs to
credit.
run. Yeah, and also because like, if Harvey Dent was exposed as being a murderer and did all these horrible things as after being seen as this inspirational figure that fought crime in like the right way, then that would be like a kind of terrible message for the rest of the city. So I don't have a problem with the ending. I think it's a great ending.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna unshare my screen. We'll be right back when it's just us three. Thanks everybody for watching our first episode of Cinemaxxers. We've got plenty of fun episodes coming up. We'll just preview the next one for now. We're going to be doing an actors draft. Each of us will take a certain amount of actors. We'll be discussing their best performances and eventually we'll decide which one drafted the best team. But for now, make sure you leave in the comments whose top four is the best, what takes you agree with, what takes you disagree with. Thank you for listening for myself, Joseph, and Yoni. We'll see you next time.